In this tutorial, I'll show you briefly how you can draw the bond diagram in the Visio drawing tool. However, before you start drawing on Visio, it is better if it is more recommended for you to get a better idea about what you're going to draw by generating the architecture diagram automatically from the Eiffel Studio from your projects. And then once you export the diagram from Eiffel Studio, you can just put it aside handy, and then you can actually base your drawing in Visio using that diagram. Okay, so if you go to the wiki page of the course, currently it's summer 2015. If you go to the home page of the wiki page, and if you go to the getting started section, and we have getting started with BOM here, and you can see that there's a link over here. You are required to use Visio to draw bond diagrams for your assignments, lab tests, and projects. If you click on the Visio here, it'll bring you to the DreamSpark subscription page under York University. So you can just use your normal EECS login, username and password to log in. Once you log in to the DreamSpark page, you will have to search for Visio from the product catalog. So you can see here we have a product search bar, and here you can type Visio, and you should choose the latest version here. So you can see now we have Microsoft Visio Professional 2010-2013. In theory, it wouldn't matter which version you choose, but since they got the latest version available, you can just choose that. So you can just choose that, and then you can choose Microsoft Visio Professional 2013 for both 32 and 64 bits English version DreamSpark. So you can just say add to the chart. As you can see, it's free because it's under the subscription to the York University. Okay, so just use this link to download, and once you install, you just have to open up the ISO image, and then you can follow the normal, straightforward installation procedure on Windows. Okay, so I'm going to show you only up to here, and you can, now I'm going to assume you have completed this process of installation already. After you have installed the Visio, to make your life easier, in the same getting started section here on the wiki page, and you can see there is a template to do nice bond diagram. Okay, click on this, and then you can download the zip folder, and let me just put it on the desktop, let's say, and then you can actually just use it later on to draw your bond diagram. You can just make it easier. I'm going to give you a short demo for that. Okay, so basically I'm going to assume for the rest of the tutorial you have followed the link of the Visio to download the Visio and install that from the DreamSpark page, and also you have also downloaded the templates for the bond notation. Okay, let me just go to my desktop. For now, I'm just going to unzip it, and later on, if you go into the this directory here, you can see we have actually different templates for you to use to draw the bond diagram. We have some example here, and also we have the manual here, and also we have the template here. Template seems like they have different versions, but you just choose the version 5. That seems to be the latest version. Okay, and okay, we'll get to this directory in a moment. So I just want to show you again how you can generate the architecture diagram from Eiffel Studio. So as usual, let's launch a terminal here, and let's go to Eiffel Studio for currently summer 2015, which will be version 1501. And let's go to launch the Eiffel Studio, and let's use the bank example that we used to do in the previous tutorial series. We may not draw the whole architecture, but I just want to show you that when you have classes from different clusters, and also classes from different clusters might have some client-supplier relationship, and also I'm going to show you in case you have the inheritance relationship, how what are you supposed to draw, and more importantly, for each class you can choose to present them in the concise form or the expanded form. In the concise form, you only show the class names, and in the expanded form, you can actually show the class with its list of features, and also maybe some due to the information hiding, you might have hidden some attributes. You can also show them in the expanded form, and more importantly, you can also show the contracts for your features. Actually, that's why we wouldn't accept your diagram generated directly from Eiffel Studio, because none of the information I mentioned above will be included in there. Okay, so we are going to add a project from the existing workspace, and let's go to the bank projects and go to the ECF file, say OK, and now we're going to compile from scratch. Make sure you choose the right projects. If we go there, and now we're going to wait a bit for the compilation to finish. Okay, so now you can see that basically, if you recall from our previous tutorial series, we actually have 3 clusters. So we have the business logic of the bank, we have the root cluster, and we also have the tests cluster. Okay, so let's see how we can generate diagram from there. And also under the bank cluster, we have account and transaction. And under root, we have the application, the root class, basically. And also we have the tests with the test account class. So we have 4 classes in total. So to draw to generate a diagram automatically from Eiffel Studio, you can click on diagram here, okay, and then make sure you select target to cluster or class. Okay, so now we're actually going to, so you can see by default, so the root class, because I just click on there, okay, so it's already there. However, we actually want also the bank cluster to be there. So first, choose that cluster, right click, and then second right click to pick the cluster, and then move your mouse to the diagram panel here, and third right click to drop it. So now you can see that we actually got the bank cluster here. So now you can see we have the root cluster here, and we have the bank cluster. Let's say we also want the tests cluster. So again, first choose the cluster name, right click for the first time, and then right click for the second time to pick the cluster, and then move your mouse. You can see that this cluster yellow button there, and then right click the third time to drop it to the diagram panel. Okay, so now let me just move this cluster here. Okay, so now you can see that, so here there's a button here saying hide supplier links, or to show that. You can see if I click on that to enable it, so now we can show it. And also we have inheritance here. Okay, so yeah, okay, that's it. Okay, you can see that by default, this diagram does not tell you, well, so much information here, because you know that the test account also inherits from ES test. And also for the account class, if you go there, you can see that in your account class, remember we actually put contracts for your pre and post conditions for, let's say, for the make feature, and also for withdraw, and also for withdraw on dates, etc. So that kind of information is not shown in the automatically generated diagram. However, this diagram can give you some starting point for you to actually have some idea how you can convert your architecture into the bond diagram. Okay, so you can just play with this diagram. You might be able to show more classes by clicking on the right option. Okay, you can just play with the tool and then to figure that out yourself. However, this is only for you to get a starting point. The final submission you're going to make will have to be from the diagrams drawn in Visio. Okay, so let's just keep this panel here handy, and then we're going to draw the diagram in Visio. Okay, so Visio is only available on Windows. So currently I'm using a Mac. However, I actually have some software called Parallel Desktop installed. So that's why I can use the Visio also on my Mac. But if you're using a PC, it should just be straightforward to you. And if you really don't have any access to any Windows machine at home, you should really just go to the Prison Lab. They actually have the Windows mode for many machines there where they have the Visio installed. So, and also again, please make sure for each assignment or project or any submission, please don't wait until the last minutes or last hour to draw your diagram. You should really practice drawing and then start as soon as possible. You should expect to take a few hours at least to draw the diagram for your submission to get a reasonable grade. I cannot emphasize this more. Okay, so let me just launch my Windows, and then I will go to Visio here. Okay, let me just click on that. So here, these are some documents I opened before, but let's say for the first time, I will go to Visio here. However, before you launch Visio the first time, there is one handy feature that you may want to install. Okay, so go to Control Panel here, and then go to where the program, the control panel for programs. So now, find the Visio here. So it should be the Microsoft Visio. Okay, I should scroll down a little bit. Okay, close that. So Microsoft Visio. Okay, it's here. Okay, Microsoft Visio Professional 2013. And now I'm going to click on that, and then I would say change rather than install. Okay, change. Say change, and then of course you may have to enter your own password here, but it may not be necessary depending on how you set up your PC. Okay, and we're gonna say add or remove features. We're going to add some features for you because for the first time, this feature I'm going to show you would not be included by default. That's why I'm showing you this. Go to continue, and then click on Office Tools. Okay, under Microsoft Office, go to Office Tools, and then choose Equation Editor. Okay, Equation Editor under Office Tool. If you click on this down arrow here, and then okay, and then what you have to choose is run from my computer. Okay, choose that, and then say continue. Okay, that's what you have to do to make sure the equation editor will be available on your Visio. Okay, you just have to wait for the configuration process to finish. Okay, it shouldn't take too long for that to finish. So what the equation editor will do is you can actually easily to set up some mathematical equation involving some logical operators in your class view. Okay, because sometimes you might find it easier rather than using the Eiffel syntax to present your contract, you may want to use mathematical formula to present your contracts. Okay, and then after it is done, we'll close and we'll exit from here. Okay, so now we can open the Visio for the first time, and then to create a new diagram, we're going to open the template we're going to open the template that we just downloaded from the course wiki. Okay, go to Visio for the first time. Okay, it's going to open that. Okay, so now we're going to go to File and say Open. Okay, now let's go to where you store that template directory. So for example, I save that into desktop. Go to this directory here, Bonsai 1.4, and then choose Bonsai version 5. Okay, if you go there, and then, so now you're going to, actually you can see that you have a list of features over here, a list of templates for you. So the ones you're going to use for your diagram is, you might use cluster. Basically, you can just drag and drop the shapes on the left to the right for your diagram. Okay, so you might use cluster for the purpose of this course. You might use cluster, you might use class, you might use the feature, and you might use the interface like an expanded view for the class, and you might use feature clauses, you might use invariant section, you might use restricted export. For example, you may want to present how the information hiding has been applied in your design. So you can present your exported to none section. Also, you have the inherit section, you have the inheritance relationship, and so this basically is to say if you somehow you have to somehow if your inheritance arrow cannot be a single straight line, and sometimes it may have to be skewered, then this is how you do it. Okay, and similarly for the client-supply relationship, I will show you one example when I draw a sample for you. Okay, so you might also find the client label useful. Okay, and also client label right, etc. Left and right. Okay, so these are basically what you need for the static diagrams for the BOM. Okay, for the summer 2015, we are only going to cover the static diagrams for your submission. Okay, so that's all you have to worry. Okay, let's say now I want to create a new diagram from this template. So what I need to do is to say save this as a new diagram. Okay, if I go to file, okay, let me just go back. Okay, this is to go back. So if I click on file here, and then I would say save. Okay, so now maybe I should say save as. Sorry, let me do it again. So go to file and say save as. Okay, I'm going to computer. Okay, so now save as. Okay, I'm going to save in my local computer. So let me say I want to save in the desktop. Okay, let me put it here. Maybe just outside the template directory, and then just on the desktop. Okay, what you have to do here, because now we are trying to save a new file from the template. So the new file format should not be a template anymore. So what you should choose is the Visio, okay, here, the Visio macro enabled drawing. That's the format you should choose, okay? So here, the one I'm highlighting now, Visio macro enabled drawing. Choose that, okay? So what I can do is, I can say ECS 3311 Visio hello world. Oh, actually, because I'm doing a bank, so I can say bank. Okay, and then I would say save. Okay, so now you can see that. So now I'm actually in that file already. So let me just double check. So let me just close this, and then you can see that now I have a file on my desktop, the one I just saved. If I double click on that, it's going to be opened, and with the you can see that's a file name over here. Okay, and that's the shapes templates available. Since I haven't got any diagram drawn yet, so I have empty here. Okay, so now I'm going to so here you can see the page 1 here. You can rename this page. This is similar to how you do Excel spreadsheets. I can say this is bank. Okay, so in case you want to draw multiple diagrams in a single file, this is what you can do. So you can say, after I have drawn the bank class or the bank projects, I can right click on this. I can have different options. I can say I want to insert a new page. I can delete this current page. I can rename this page, or I can duplicate this page to a new one and then to do some modification in the new one. And also got some different setup. Okay, that's why you should explore yourself. They should be just straightforward to use. Okay, so now basically this diagram tool just takes some practice for you to get used to its notation. So let me just show you a few tips for you. So now you can see that it may not be so manageable because now the zoom is a little bit too close. So now we can go to the view panel. So you can see we have home, we have insert, we have design. If you click on each one of them, it's going to show you different views. Go to the view panel here, and then you can go to the zoom here. And now currently it's 150%. You can simply just go, for example, 75%. If you say OK, it's going to show you this is the layout of your diagram. So you can just drag and drop things to there. And then once you want to modify individual components, you can zoom in. Okay. So for example, I'm going to create, so I simply just create a cluster. I simply drag and drop one. So left click, hold it, drag it, and drop it here. Okay. So now for the font size, it would be recommended to use maybe if you so if you double click on the cluster here, so you can now edit the cluster name. So it would be recommended to choose a Times New Roman font and then maybe to use 12. Okay, you have to play with it and try to print out some intermediate drawing to see how they look. Okay, professionalism is the key for drawing the bond diagram. Okay, let's say we have a bank cluster here, and then in there we actually have, for example, okay, this is actually the vertical formats. You can also do the horizontal format depending on the layout of your architecture. And what you can do is go to design and go to, okay, now we are switching from view to design. Design, go to orientation, and then now currently it's portrait, so you can switch to landscape if you wish. Okay, so you can see now we are switching to a landscape view. So now in bank, so let's say here we want to, so we have two classes here, if you recall from Eiffel Studio here. So we actually have, somehow I closed that already. So let me just open that again very quickly. So now we go back to Eiffel Studio, and then here, okay, and then we are going to go to the, okay, so if we go to diagram here, okay, so somehow we just lost the diagram. So please make sure you actually keep your Eiffel Studio open. So I'm not sure if I can do this. Okay, if you click on the clusters here, which will include all the three, right click, pick, okay, right click to pick, and then right click to drop. Somehow this does not show. Okay, so you have to right click on the individual cluster. Okay, that's what you have to do. So you will right click on the bank, pick cluster bank, right click, and a third right click here. Okay, so now, okay, actually I forgot to click on this, the target to cluster or class. Okay, let me try again. Right click, pick, and okay, I choose the bank cluster here. Okay, so choose target to cluster, right click, and right click. Okay, now we have the bank cluster here. You can see we actually have a client supply relationship here, and then I can make it a little bit longer maybe. Yeah, so I can move it here. Okay, you can see that we actually have the account class, which is a client of the transaction class, because we define the withdraws on of type array of transaction. Okay, and also we have deposit list and withdrawal list. You have to actually, yeah, you also have to go back to your class to see what's worth showing. Okay, so let me go to the bank class and go to account and transaction. So in this case, we will want to show more details on the account class, but show less on the transaction. So in this case, I'm going to show you that we're going to make the expanded view for this class and to make the concise view for the transaction. Okay, and both of them, because they are not deferred, so you should really indicate that they are effective with a plus sign. Okay, so now let me create a class by, so this is the concise view. So we'll do this for the transaction. So drag it to here. Okay, if you double click on that, so now we can choose the font size to be 12. So now we want to do transaction, put some space here maybe, and plus. Okay, and now because it's actually not showing very well, so what you can do is to maybe hit the enter here on the before and after to actually make it show better. Okay, okay, so now we actually have one class already. So now we're going to put the account class. Okay, and now for the account class, we're going to drag the interface here. Okay, and now somehow, so you can see now here in this, and here we can change the formats to be the font size to be 12, and now it would be the account class and put a space and plus to indicate it's effective, non-deferred. Okay, so now we have two classes here, and we have to make indicate that account is a client of transaction. So we're going to drag and drop the clients arrow here, and once we do that, okay, sometimes you may have to, okay, okay, just drag it here, okay, put it here. You just have to play with the tool. Sometimes it may not be so easy to put the arrow on the right place. Okay, so always you can undo. Control Z. Okay. Okay, so you want to drag it here. Okay, but okay, let me do it this way. So you can see you have the arrow here, and you have the end of the arrow here. Put the head of the arrow, and then make it connected with. You can see now you have different connection points for the transaction. Put it into the the leftmost connection point there, and then you can put the tail, and then to the corresponding connection point for the account. Okay, it's very easy to do. You just gotta have to play with it. And now I can fix this a little bit by moving the transaction around using the arrow key in my keyboard. Okay, just make sure it looks well. Okay, okay. If it is not so 100% horizontal, you can actually arrange the size of this diagram here to make it look better. Okay, this might be better now, but you can play with that to make sure the diagram looks okay. Okay. Okay, let me just play up to here. Okay, so now we have transaction, we have accounts, and I'm only showing you one cluster, so you're supposed to draw, let's say, also the tests cluster and the root cluster for your submission. Okay, if they're necessary to show. So now in this account class, let me just go back to Eiffel Studio. The account, if you see under the groups, okay, let me compile now. And for the account class, I want to go to feature here. Okay, so we have balance, we have credits, we have deposit, and etc. Okay, so you can see that here we have different attributes. So you can see that the deposits and withdrawals, they will be the where the client supplier relationship may occur. And also we have different features. Okay, let me just show you one example. So one example could be you have to actually show that how the client supply relationship occurs. It is because we declare some attributes in account class of type transaction. Okay, in this case, what we can do is you have to go to you can either use, okay, so you got to be careful when you scroll up and down. Okay, so you can either use the client label, okay, or you can use the feature. Okay, either way would do. It's simply a text. Okay, if I put it there, double click, and then again I'll choose 12 as the font size. And now here, let's say deposits. A deposit is actually an array of transaction. An array of transaction, and the notation for bond is, okay, somehow it didn't show well on my computer for the symbols. Okay, however, I wouldn't think that would be a problem on your computer, so I'm just going to do this weird workaround on my computer, but you don't have to worry about that. Okay, so that's the syntax for bond notation. So here you can see that we're going to see deposit, and then it's an array of transaction. But since we are pointing to the transaction, so you don't have to say the name out on the label, so you can just use dot dot. Okay, that's the notation for bond, which you really should know. Okay, now we can organize the diagram better by expanding this, and then to click on that and use the right arrow to make it to the right a little bit better. Okay, so let's put it here. That's good enough. Okay, so we have a client-supplier relationship here, and to draw the inheritance, it would be similar. Okay, the client joined here, for example, let's say somehow I can do the following. So I can actually put this just aside for now. You can also put the maybe client join here, let's say, for example, join that here. Okay, and then you can do sometimes it may not be the error you need, but I'm just saying sometimes it may be handy. Okay, so let's say if somehow I want to put my transaction above rather than to the right of account, so what I can do is I can put it there. Okay, So now I can put it like that. But you can see my point basically. That's the join is, you can have as many joins as you like basically. And now you can see that this is another way to show the client-supplier relationship. Okay, so you can see this is still an arrow, but somehow it's skewered. It's actually somehow with some corners, with some angles, but it's okay as long as it is still an arrow showing the client-supplier. Okay, so now for the class itself, so we might usually to show the information hiding, you have to drag and drop the restricted export here. For example, here you can put it here, let's say, and now it would be, sometimes it might be exported to none, or sometimes it might be exported to something else. Okay, depending on what your design is. In this case, let's say none, and now let's say we have to somehow to hide the list of deposits and withdrawal or something. Okay, some attributes here. Let me see. Okay, so here we gotta put a feature here, for example, and for each feature here, you can see that by default it gives you the name, the type, and some comments. You should always put these three at least. Okay, at least. Okay, 12, and now for example we can say deposits, and for example it's a link list of transaction. Okay, so you can say history of deposits. Okay, that's how you do it. You can see now we have now a feature that's exported to none. So this shows the information hiding that the supplier has chosen to apply. Okay, and you may also have, for example, the invariance here. Okay, so now let me just also make the font size larger. Okay, seems like you cannot play with that. Okay, just leave the default. And however, you have to make it expanded through the whole class. Invariant here, and now you can drag and drop another feature here to have an invariant clause. Okay, sorry, the feature here, and then we can get it there. Okay, and now we can actually put some invariants. The invariant usually you should put a tag name and then the invariants. For example, we can say, okay, make it 12 maybe. Okay, you can say deposit non-empty. Okay, deposit non-empty. Okay, put some space here. You can say it is not the case that deposits dot is empty. That means let's assume we always have some non-empty history. Okay, I'm just making one example of showing how you can do the invariance in the diagram. Okay, so now we have invariance, we have attributes that's exported to none. Okay, you can play around with the position to make it look better. Okay, so once you actually get things in your diagram, you can play with them to make them look better. Okay, anyway, that should be reasonable enough. Okay, so now we have invariance, we have the information hiding section. So now we're going to put maybe some features. Okay, let me just put one here. Okay, so for the feature here, okay, let me actually cut it maybe. Let me use this one. You can choose different ones as you find necessary. Okay, so now again, I'm going to maybe to change to 12. Let's say we're trying to do deposit, for example. Deposit, which returns nothing because it's a command. So deposit will, so you have to make sure the cases are correct. Okay, deposit some amount of type integer. Okay, so we can say deposit into current account with A. Okay, you can make it italics with $8, for example. Okay, and then the most important part is you shouldn't just put the comments and the feature signature always. In this case, because we do have some pre and post conditions for that, so in this case, maybe let me change that to withdraw. So we have the precondition, post condition. Okay, so now you can put maybe 2 spaces here. Okay, and then question mark, I'm sorry, so I need to use the same hacking trick for my computer setup again. Question mark, okay? This will be the precondition for withdrawal. So remember the precondition we have was the balance plus credits. Okay, this is just annoying. Plus credits, and then should be greater than or equal to A. Okay, greater than or equal to A. Okay, that's what you can do. And now for the post condition here, you should, for example, we can say credits. Okay. Oh, by the way, so here for the greater than or equal to here, this is more like a programming notation. So you can choose a mathematical symbol for that. To do that, you can say insert. Okay, go to insert and go to symbol here. And then here you can see some relational symbol here. That's just there. Okay, greater than or equal to A. Okay, so now you can say credits equals. Okay, just make sure the upper or lower cases are right. So credits equals, it's old credits. Okay, so make sure you bold the all the keywords. And now we have another post condition here. So balance equals, okay, balance equals old balance minus A, right? Okay, of course, there are actually more pre and post condition invariants which I haven't shown, but I'm just showing you how to draw the diagram and how to put the contracts into your diagram expanded form for the class. And in your design, you are supposed to put all the relevant contracts that's worth showing in your diagram. Okay. Okay. Assuming that this is where we want to get into, and now let's say you're done. Okay. So now here comes important things for exporting your diagram into a PDF. Okay. Let's say I'm done for now. Let me just go to let me zoom out a little bit. So go to View and go to Zoom. Go to, let's say, 75. Say OK. So this is how your diagram. Maybe zoom out even more. Okay, let's say 50%. That should be good. Okay, so this is our diagram here. You can see basically if you simply just export now, you have lots of spare spaces on the page. That's not what we want. We want to somehow to fit the drawing just to the page. The way to do that is, okay, go to design, and then size, and then click on fit to drawing. Okay, what this would do, as you can see, is quite obvious. So now the whole page of the PDF that's going to be generated will just contain a diagram only without any spare spaces. Okay, again, to do that, size, and okay, go to design. Okay, design here, go to size here, and then go to fit to drawing. Okay, that's what you should do. So now how do we export the PDF? So now click on File, click on Export, click on Create PDF. Okay, so now select where you want to export, let's say on the desktop. So now we have PDF here. Okay, so let's say if you have multiple pages of your drawing, you can actually go to Options and to say from which page to which page you want to do. Okay, so it's up to you. But because currently I have just one page, so it wouldn't allow me to choose. But sometimes if you choose to have multiple pages on a single file, then you may want to say, for the current PDF, I only want to export a particular page range. Okay, say OK for now. And let me say publish. Once it is done, it's going to open up the PDF. So this is actually the diagram that's exported from the Visio. Okay, and okay, so you can see I only spent not less than an hour. I can already produce something that's much more professional than the one that's generated from the Eiffel Studio. That's why in this course you're required to use the Visio tool to generate your diagram. Okay, so please play with your Visio tool, and possibly you want to regenerate the diagram from the one I gave to you. For example, I gave to you the the iterator diagram and also the singleton pattern diagram. Let me just remind you again to show you those are the quality. Those diagrams represent the quality I would expect from your submission. If you let me just go to public and then the slides there. For example, if we look at the bond diagram for iterator pattern, so this is a reasonably sophisticated diagram. So you can just practice, try to reproduce this diagram here by using Visio. Or you can say, for example, we have done in previous tutorial videos how to extend your book projects or your shop projects by applying the iterator pattern. So what you can do is you can somehow to show the architecture of how the iterator pattern has been applied in your book or shop projects by using this diagram. You can try to reproduce them. That would be a very valuable exercise for you before you actually do it for your projects and assignments and lab tests. Okay, that's for the iterator. And the singleton pattern will be a different exercise for you. Oh, by the way, you can see that we'll talk about it in the lecture, but here you can see the arrow here for the client supplier. We have some extra arrow there without any arrowhead. Okay, so this means this class here is expanded. Okay, the way to do this, you might find sometimes in your design, you do want to have expanded classes. For example, in the singleton pattern, we do recommend to have expanded classes. Okay, in this case, you do have to put an arrow here. Okay, on the arrowhead over here, some vertical line basically. It can be vertical line, can be horizontal line, but you just have to cross the arrow here. The way to do that in the diagram would be very simple. For example, let's say here we want to put a line here to across the arrow. You simply just go to get the head joint and then just put it above, just like that. Okay, and then you may want to make it even a little bit longer, maybe just to make it look better. Okay, you can click on that, use the arrow to adjust its position. And okay, for example, that's what you can do. And then if you want to regenerate the diagram, before you do that, again, go to Design, Size, Fit to Join to make sure it fits well. And then you can go to File, Export, Create PDF, etc. Okay, so in this tutorial so far, we have shown you how you can first generate some rough diagram from Eiffel Studio to get some idea about how the architecture of your project looks like. And then you actually base that diagram to draw your final diagram, the architecture in bond notation in Visio. Okay, and in the Visio diagram, you actually have a template there already for you, and you can just download it from the link on the wiki page. And always you can choose the this particular template and then create a new file from there. And then from there, you can just drag and drop the necessary shapes from the left panel to the right panel. And you can also adjust your orientation from portrait to landscape if necessary. And after that, you have to export your diagram into a PDF. Okay, so this will be roughly, this will be what the PDF you will get. And from that PDF, you may either attach that to your report, or you may insert that to your report file, like Word documents. It should be very straightforward to do. And depending on how I instruct you to do the submission, depends. Okay, so I hope this tutorial is useful to you. So please practice drawing and then stay watching. We have more tutorials to come for other aspects in the course.